The combined wealth, this is according to Oxfam, of the world's 85 richest people is equal to the 3.5 billion poorest people.
It's fantastic.
When I start working in the morning, it's just like somebody putting a switch on myself. It's monotonous, very monotonous. There's no break unless the line stops or I'm relieved from my break or lunchtime.
Do I have a lot of work, paperwork? Yes, I do.
I think of other things deliberately to keep the monotony out of my mind from the job.
What can be wrong with this?
Really?
Who do I think has the power in society? The rich.
And this is a great thing because it inspires everybody, gets the motivation to look up to the 1% and say, I want to become one of those people. I'm going to fight hard to get up to the top. This is fantastic news, and of course I applaud it.
And they'll make me the ruler of the world.
Subtle changes in the flow of information are crucial.
As far as the job goes, I don't think about that because after doing it so long, there's no thought to it, just to do it.
My job, it's a living.
Somebody living on
I celebrate capitalism.
$1 a day in Africa is getting up in the morning and saying, I'm going to be Bill Gates.
That's the motivation everybody needs.
Only thing between me and
I'm
that
not
guy
against
is
charity.
motivation. I just need to pull up my socks.
I am
Oh,
not
wait, I don't have socks.
Most of the men working in this plant, like myself, are forced into the job in the first place, mainly because once a man gets in there, if he's got a family, he's stuck there.
Person's upset because I said that $100,000 is not a lot of money. I'm just saying, don't act like $100,000 is like a huge, unattainable lifelong goal.
Hey. Are you even paying attention to me right now?
The number of Americans living without homes, in shelters, or on the streets continues to rise at an alarming rate. Estimates show that as many as 500,000, more than 500,000 people are homeless in the U.S. on any given night.
They don't care about our lives out here. They really don't. This shows it. I mean, if you drive past what's left of people's lives out there, what they couldn't fit, what they couldn't take.
The reality of the environment is that it is not a place that kids should be. Kids can be damaged by what they see, what they hear.
Me and my kids don't have nowhere to go. And I just want somebody to help me.
A surge in work-related deaths is forcing Japan to take a hard look at its office culture.
You probably heard that Japanese people work a lot of hours, but have you ever wondered why and how that happens?
The nation's work ethic dates back to what's referred to as Japan's economic miracle, which was its dramatic economic growth beginning in the 1950s, which propelled it to become the world's second largest economy. Inside Japan's corporations, the culture emphasizes the success of a company as a whole to be more important than any single individual.
I have generally disliked the Japanese working culture and relationships in the workplace.
Instead of the military and emperor is your family, the company is your family. You will do everything you can for your family.
This actually worked in Japan for a while.
But it's leading to lives that make us kill ourselves even when we don't want to.
I just stare at my desk, but it looks like I'm working.
The salaryman is defined by his loyalty to his company and expected to spend his entire career working for the same firm.
Blindly keep working years after years, only to realize, damn, I know nothing but about my company.
I look at you, and I see myself.
You can't see a future, so the first step is to show them a future they can be satisfied with and accept.
Slaves with white collars, working jobs we hate, so we buy shit we don't need.
Buy this shit, buy that shit. Boy, it got a bunch of shit.
despite being entitled to 20 days off per year, Japanese workers left 10 of those days unused. No one wants to be the first one to leave the office. It's 3 a.m. Thursday morning right now in Tokyo. Every few minutes I see a man wearing a suit holding a briefcase. Karoshi. It means death by overwork. It's legally recognized by the government and usually is marked by a heart attack, stroke, or suicide due to stress.
The Japanese government didn't really address the problem until last year. They were pressured to do so after a 24-year-old woman logged 105 hours of overtime, wrote on social media that she was, quote, physically and mentally shattered, then jumped off a building to her death.
No job is worth your life, right?
11:15, leave work, 12 a.m., arrive home.
Japan is just a more extreme example of what's happening everywhere. Salarymen are in a way like a corporate soldier, but we're all headed in the same direction. Japan is just already there and in an extreme fashion.
There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently. That's okay. Things are gonna be okay.
I don't want to do anything to make money. I don't want to.
I just find it so terrible that at the young age of 23, I'm ready to check out. Like, I don't want to do anything at all. I don't want to work because my money's not mine. I don't want to go to school because I feel like I'm getting a degree for somebody else. Like, I don't want to do anything. And I feel like that's so sad.
Having my regular meltdown and realizing I'm never going to escape capitalism. And I'm just going to be a cog in the machine of productivity for my whole life, so.
You know that numb feeling that you have now? Like that sense of ambivalence? Like you're kind of just going through the motions.
And pretending like this is just life. Like, I was at work today and I said, I can't believe that our parents and our grandparents and everybody else before them worked
and go to
every
work
day of their fucking life
for the rest of our lives.
Same fucking monotonous,
5
boring
days a
ass
week.
shit. 40 plus hours a week just to retire at the ripe age of what, 60, 65, 70, where they literally can't enjoy the money that they have made.
Quitting and that this generation doesn't want to work. The reality is many of us that are in my age or a little older, a little younger, are working jobs that do not care about us as people. And I'm going to say that again because I think that's a very, very important distinction that a lot of people are forgetting. I am not going to fucking kill myself over a job that doesn't care about me as a human being. I am not going to put in a 60-hour work week and pull myself up by my bootstraps for a job that does not care about me as a person.
Pushed to their limit. Like, people are exhausted. If you work a regular job, even if you don't work a regular job, the constant stress of having to worry about how to make ends meet.
Yo, I've had a series of fucking panic attacks at fucking work today. Like, we are not supposed to live like this, yo.
I go to work so that I can afford my house and my car, and I have to have my car so I can go to work, and we all live so isolated from each other, so instead of, like, sharing resources, like sharing a car so you can get to work, so that everybody doesn't have to have their own fucking car that drives to the same place every day and then sits in a parking lot all day.
We
do not want to spend any more of our time selling stuff to people. We want to spend our time on something that feels good for the collective. I want to help people.
What's wrong with capitalism? The first question. Well, on one level, and this may strike you as a bit contradictory, nothing's wrong with it. And what do I mean? I mean that it's working the way it always has. It is pursuing profits. The people who own and operate the businesses of the United States, the factories, the offices, the stores, are looking to make a buck. They're doing business the way they always have.
You do not want to mess with me, boys. Look what I got for Christmas. A rape whistle.
How are Latinas, Asian women, Middle Eastern women, Romani women, Indigenous American women, Slavic women, Black women, mixed people fetishized?
Female got all three. Real hair, real eyebrows, and a natural face.
Autism feels like you're bad at everything.
Sometimes being autistic feels like everyone else in the world is part of some big, elaborate inside joke that I'm not in on.
One of the most annoying things about being autistic is that people don't like you for no reason. I'm constantly told that an acquaintance or someone that I don't know super well doesn't like me, thinks I'm a bad person, actively hates me.
What is it about being autistic that everyone just hates you and everything that you say?
One thing that they don't tell you about being autistic is people don't like you. And you might know why, or you might not know why, but there is nothing you can do to change that. You are constantly off-putting or annoying to people, and the harder you try to stop it, the more you push people away.
Literally chase down your friend into her house to get your phone number. Yeah, I heard Dad call the cops on me. 3, 2, 1.
Hey Jackson, did you enjoy the concert?
Oh, the ring, ding, 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 ding.
I guess you could say I slayed, huh?
Hi, are you excited for camping?
Yeah. Boo! Are you texting another guy?
Hey, Jack.
Hey, kitten.
And it's very alienating to grow up like this.
We need to stop accepting our children's suffering. Yes, they are suffering. I don't care how people interpretate autism. They are suffering in silence.
These are all the supplements that help my son with autism. I start with a cup of orange juice.
In your opinion, can autism be cured?
In my opinion, based on my spiritual beliefs, anything can be cured.
Then 1/4 of a scoop of Simple Spectrum.
Can you pray away autism?
3 sprays of TRS, 1 package of Florify.
I want to tell you guys a story about how God delivered me from autism and speech impairment.
3 drops of vitamin A.
The life of God into your being. I decree and declare that the brain's normal development of communication and social skills be restored. With the blood of Jesus, I come against impaired social interactions.
4 drops of vitamin D.
My son has been diagnosed with autism exactly a year ago when he was 2.5. We had started him on a medical medium heavy metal detox.
1 dropper full of Focus.
My son was diagnosed with autism at age 7. He's considered recovered now, so now he's 25 years old and he has his bachelor's degree.
1 dropper full of Calm.
Autism parents, listen up. Throw that melatonin away. It probably is not working anyway. Try this detox bath.
1 dropper full of Immune.
This right here is a residence. Bentonite clay helps to pull out heavy metals from their little body.
2 droppers full of tummy.
You remove what's causing the cognitive delays. Voila, they start talking. Stop stimming. No more food aversion. Y'all picking up what I'm putting.
And 2 dropperfuls of happy.
Night number 2 with the detox bath to see if it would help with my son's autism.
15 drops of grapefruit seed extract and 5 milliliters of...
You have no cure for me. I am autism. I have no interest in right or wrong. I derive great pleasure out of your loneliness. I will fight to take away your hope. I will plot to rob you of your children and your dreams. I will make sure that every day you wake up, you will cry.
I hate my autistic brother and I wish he was dead.
Tell my kids, my children. I tell my children.
Okay, why did you do this?
They are autistic. I want normal kids.
And the kids don't make progress. But I remember that was a very scary moment for me when I realized I had sat in the car for about 15 minutes and actually contemplated putting Jody in the car and driving off the George Washington Bridge, and that would be preferable to having to put her in one of these schools. And it's only because of Lauren, the fact that I have another child, that I probably didn't do it.
Sasson and colleagues in 2017, for example, found that neurotypical people quickly and subconsciously identified that a stranger is autistic, often within milliseconds of meeting them. They don't realize that they've identified the person as autistic, though. They just think the person is weird. Participants in the study were less interested in engaging in conversation with autistic people and liked them less than non-autistics, all based on a brief moment of social data. It's also important to point out that the autistic people in this study didn't do anything wrong. Their behavior was perfectly socially appropriate, as was the content of their speech. Though they tried their damnedest to present as neurotypical, their performance had some key tells and was just slightly off, and they were disliked because of it.
Here's my experience. My experience is you go talk to kindergarten kids or first grade kids, you find a class full of science enthusiasts. And they ask deep questions. What is a dream? Why do we have toes? Why is the moon round? What's the birthday of the world? Why is grass green? These are profound, important questions. They just bubble right out of them. You go and talk to 12th grade students, and there's none of that. They've become leaden and incurious. Something terrible has happened between kindergarten and 12th grade, and it's not just puberty.
The fleas are placed inside the jar, and the lid is then sealed. They are left undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behaviour is now set for the rest of their lives.
Look at all these people, just a bunch of robots programmed. Go to work, go to the grocery store, spend that money from work, go back to work, your kids grow up, they do the same thing. We're all just a bunch of slaves. We're all just a bunch of robots.
The red line is a security measure, and that's in place because if you stand behind this red line, if there's a shooter at the door, they cannot see the children.
Classroom doors are bullet resistant, and cameras, so many cameras everywhere.
Oh my God!
Video games create monsters.
We got to deal with mental illness.
People say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts.
Public drag performance and
transgenderism.
Video game makers.
Autism and homosexuality.
Usually I put the blame on the parent.
Greg Abbott's done nothing to protect me or my friends. I had to wait there for 77 minutes.
Inside the building for 40 minutes to an hour before being shot. Video shows heavily armed police officers milling in the hallways of Robb Elementary School while 19 children and 2 teachers were being massacred.
And we're not going to fix it. Criminals are going to be criminals.
It's day 3 of being a girl.
No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and cocks. They're as good as...
You said that you're a trans woman.
A trans female, yes, sir.
Do you have a penis?
I'm not into all the other bullshit. I think...
What other bullshit?
The they and them.
Yeah.
And all that extra shit that we added during the pandemic because everyone was so bored on their fucking houses. They just started to make up more shit and more shit.
Stuff, more.
But if I don't know whether you're male or female, what the hell should I do with you?
Gender ideology is an assault on truth.
Why are we mainstreaming delusion?
It's not delusion.
Why would you call it delusion?
Because I don't believe that you can feel any other emotion than hate.
Under Section 35 of the Scotland Act 1998, preventing the Gender Recognition Reform Scotland Bill from proceeding to royal assent.
I've got some bad news for you. Parents with children who have gender dysphoria have lost children to suicide and depression.
Why are you attacking me? My first visit to the Capitol should have been on a school field trip, not defending my right to exist.
Over the last few years, I have emailed Britain's national healthcare provider 133 times trying to get a doctor's appointment.
Transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
Brianna Jai was found with multiple stab wounds at a park in a village in Colchester on Saturday afternoon.
So what? You want to be a girl?
Every part of my being craves to be seen and heard and understood and thought of and considered a woman. Every morsel of my body craves for people to look at me and see a woman. But that doesn't mean that's what I want. That just means that's what I need. I need to be a woman to be happy.
Biological sex is a fact. It's a reality. But so too is gender identity. Both are real.
You hated black people, then you hated Jews. Now you're hating everybody. So the question is, when it's the only people left are you, will you hate yourself? Power concedes nothing. This house is for the people, by the people, to serve the people, and you won't listen. You go after everybody's kids but your own. You make hate.
We can see through this veneer of legislation and assess the intended target. The continued marginalization and othering of the LGBTQIA+ community. Rhetoric intended to strike fear into the hearts of the people of this state. I will not sit here and debate your fascist ideology, as peddlers of intolerance deserve no such stage on a public forum. I will not appeal to the notions of tax base, of jobs, or business growth in this state. They are inconsequential of the recognition of the basic rights of your fellow human.
Thank you for your testimony.
The bill is 2 seconds away from the outdated, discriminatory 3 articles laws of the 20th century, and I will not stand for it. We will not stand for it. We may not win today, and we may not win tomorrow, but we will persist as we always have in the fight of your oppression. If you wish to eradicate transgenderism from the public life, as members of your party have said, to quote a hero of yours, you can pry that from my cold, dead hands.
Senator, kids are going to kill themselves because of this law.
If you are a trans person in Missouri, I am so sorry.
Because the first thing you learn when you love a trans kid in the state of Missouri is that you have to protect them from their government.
First you hated black people, then you hated Jews. Now you're hating everybody. So the question is, when it's the only people left are you, will you hate yourself?
Transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
the whole preposterous ideology.
We are better if they are gone.
I don't want to live in a hole anymore. It makes me feel poor.
We are poor, but we're happy.
What I want you to do after this mass shooting at a school in Tennessee is start going school by school to the families of the victims, and you explain to their face why you think drag shows are more dangerous to their now dead children than AR-15.
I have extremely bad news for transgender people in Missouri. Missouri Attorney General Bailey just banned gender-affirming care for all trans adults in the state unless they meet an impossible-to-satisfy list of requirements.
If you say that 60% reduction in suicidality is not enough, I give you 70% reduction in suicidality, you're going to say that's not enough. No matter what study I give you, you're always going to say it's not enough because you believe in your feelings over the facts.
No, I believe in not abusing children.
You are outlawing with this bill care that reduces suicide likelihood by 73%. And you're targeting it at a group where over 40% have suicidal ideation at some point in their life because of the ostracization that they feel from their family and their community. That's what this bill is going to do.
We are consuming content nowadays at like Mach fucking 3 speed. I feel like I watched more videos last week alone than like someone born in like the 30s watched in their entire lifetime. So the filing cabinet of our head is full. It's going to explode. Don't beat yourself up and feel like you have some kind of rare brain disease. You don't. You just watched like 16 different Instagram stories in the time it took you to go to the bathroom.
Well, I think everyone feels a bit lost sometime. I know I do.
Have y'all ever just looked down an aisle at a store and just seen like landfill?
For 8 hours in the day, I am sleeping. For 9 hours a day, I'm at work. I got these 2 hours right here, which is getting ready for work.
How long can I continue doing this?
I've noticed you've been withdrawn and haven't wanted to hang out recently.
Then I have this time over here that is open for fun and hijinks. I need to figure out how to have a fulfilling life in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours each day.
Will there be enough? Is there enough lithium supply in the world to enable you to build everything that you ambitiously want to build in the next few years at an affordable price?
I mean, the nice thing about lithium is it's extremely abundant on Earth.
Elon Musk looking to dip his toes in yet another business, suggesting on Twitter that Tesla could take lithium mining into its own hands, Musk citing the slow pace of mining as a reason for...
Tesla Model S, for example, uses around 12 kilograms of lithium.
A self-driving Tesla vehicle caused an 8-vehicle crash on the San Francisco Bay Bridge.
Lithium is a highly toxic element that can harm the environment. It's poisonous to plants and animals, so when it's released as part of mining activities, there will be an impact on the surrounding area. Lithium can affect water bodies by turning them into toxic wastelands. They become unusable for humans or other living beings because they're poisoned by lithium.
Bolivia's political unrest turned deadly on Friday as supporters of former President Evo Morales clashed with police in the town of Sacaba.
la red social Twitter, el dueño de la empresa de autos eléctricos Tesla de Estados Unidos, Elon Musk, en internet ustedes, ahora mismo para verificar, se relató, dijo haber participado en un golpe de Estado en Bolivia, noviembre de 2019, con el objetivo de apropiarse del litio. Le preguntan, ¿sabe que no era lo mejor para la gente? El gobierno de los Estados Unidos organizando un golpe de Estado contra Evo Morales en Bolivia para obtener el litio de allí. La respuesta, nosotros vamos a realizar golpes donde queramos, lidien con eso.
As the dead were buried, emotions were raw and anger directed at Bolivia's self-appointed president, Janina Áñez.
So this is what they call democracy. Killing us like we are nothing. They are not numbers, they are lives. Where is the justice?
We committed to making chocolate sustainable. We owe this to our consumers, the chocolate lovers.
Rating the best European Milka chocolate.
Buying $1 chocolate versus $30 chocolate versus $60 chocolate versus $200 chocolate.
All right, y'all, here we go. Top 5 best chocolates all time.
You get the cocoa beans from?
The cocoa beans, they come from different regions in the world, but most of our cocoa beans, they come from Africa.
Do you know where the beans are coming from in Ivory Coast?
Yes.
You do, too.
So we have that tracking system that really goes back. We work with the 3 most important chocolate manufacturers in Belgium.
I've heard rumors about, child labor and trafficking. Do you know anything about that?
They have, I think you then ideally...
Child labor is unacceptable to us.
Here, a third of the workers are children.
Let's turn this into chocolate.
So this chocolate cost me $200 to make.
Well, it is in one striking respect, namely the people who run it are from corporations, right, or from corporate law firms, or from investment firms, and so on. And their basic concern, not surprisingly, is the interests of investors.
When you buy a chocolate bar, we want to enable you to do this with the good feeling that the cocoa inside is sustainably sourced. And this is the objective of our Nestle Cocoa Plan. By 2025, we will source 100% of our cocoa through the Nestle Cocoa Plan. All Nestle chocolate will contribute to eliminating child labor and improving the lives of cocoa farmers.
Now, you know that's not true.
Because, profits over people.
I have a feeling it wasn't exactly what Comrade Lenin had in mind when he advocated the redistribution of wealth. But I wasn't the only one offering a crash course in capitalism.
The richest 300 people on Earth have the same wealth as the poorest 3 billion. So the number of people it takes to fill a mid-sized commercial aircraft have more wealth than the populations of India, China, the US, and Brazil combined.
And in South America tonight, an environmental problem of a much greater magnitude. The destruction
of the Amazon rainforest.
A worldwide disaster.
The Amazon is burning, consumed by fire.
Fires have been raging.
Thousands of fires are blazing. More and more trees are cut down.
chocolate is gone, it is gone forever.
You're gonna do something? You're fucking right, I'm going to do something.
Croyez en Dieu? Il ne faut pas se demander si on croit en Dieu, mais si Dieu croit en nous.
Trees are falling at a startling rate. 77,000 square miles.
An area twice the size of Belgium.
The size of New York State.
The size of California disappeared.
Deforestation of the Amazon rainforest hit its highest rate in a decade.
Plants have human body plan arms attached to shoulders.
Unless immediate action is taken, this crisis has grave impacts for us all.
1/5
the oxygen we breathe, 20% of
the world's fresh water,
half of the species of life on Earth is in these forests.
It's an ecosystem the entire world needs for its survival.
Only now do I realize just how lucky I've been.
The message of Earth Day still came through. Act or die. Good evening. A unique day in American history is ending. A day some have seen as well the way that Christmas tree should, because what it really is a sewer. The accumulation of waste is about 3 feet deep.
Don't even know what I'll say when I find you. Call out your name, love. Don't be surprised. It's so many months and so long since I've met you. Don't even know what I'll find when I get to you. But suddenly now I know where I belong. It's many miles
So down. Pesticide sprays, poison, phosphorus.
It won't be long. It won't be long. It won't be long.
You know what you're putting into our bodies? Death! Delicious, strawberry flavored death!
Eh bien, Nicolas, ça ne va pas l'appétit?
Non, non. Comment voulez-vous que ça aille?
Are you okay, sir?
Le vin avec des colorants, les pommes couvertes d'insecticides, la viande provenant d'animaux engraissés avec des antibiotiques, la salade avec des engrais chimiques. Mais ça n'est plus possible.
80% of urine samples drawn from children and adults contained a weed-killing chemical linked to cancer.
How embarrassing. A house full of condiments and no food.
Can I call someone for you?
Vous savez, le sujet est suffisamment grave parce que tout notre avenir, non pas seulement le nôtre, mais celui des enfants.
And how are these pesticides getting into our systems?
Well, they're getting in very easily. It's because it's from the food that we eat.
Here I go.
This supermarket is trying to kill us!
Look at this. See how big this stomach is?
How the fat fuck ever fit out his front door? It's so good.
This man ate till he burst.
So he did die by eating.
And there's really nothing you can do about it.
Cookies.
God bless you if it's good to you. America, please take my hand.
Every world louder.
Help me understand.
New Kung Fu Kitty!
Throw a steak off the ark to a pool full of sharks, he'll take it. Leave him in the wilderness with a sworn nemesis, he'll
Get
make
the fuck
it
out my
wicked.
point!
Get your ass off this motherfucking porch,
I bet he show you something, whoa.
And I think one of the saddest features of our day is American culture is more and more beginning to look like a Hamlet-like condition. Now, Hamlet, as you know, is the most sophisticated philosophical protagonist in all of modern literature, written by the greatest bard in the English that most of the language that many of us dream in, Shakespeare. Hamlet suffers from the inability to love. Dostoevsky and the Brothers Karamazov says, hell is defined by those who suffer from the inability to love. Well, American culture more and more becomes a joyless quest for pleasure, insatiable pleasure, never get enough of it, endless, bottomless. What a culture's joyless quest for pleasure is a denial of death. That's why we can easily deny those locked into social death. We can deny those locked into civic death. Those wrestling with psychic death. We're not just talking about something political. We're not just talking about even something civil. We're talking about something spiritual. Something profoundly spiritual. It's an acknowledgement of having a hermeneutical humility. An intellectual humility, acknowledging that you could be wrong, and there's a good chance that you are at times wrong, but you're still willing to stand in your truth and try to speak your truth and opt for a deep integrity rather than a cheap popularity. Because so oftentimes in America, to be popular is to be well adjusted to injustice. Justice is what love looks like in public, just like tenderness is what love feels like in private.
Well, I thank you for your question, but I have to say we're capitalist, and that's just the way it is.
1,500 private jets flown in here to hear Sir David Attenborough speak about, how we're wrecking the planet. And I hear people talk in the language of participation and justice and equality and transparency. But then, almost no one raises the real issue of tax avoidance, right? And of the rich just not paying their fair share. It feels like I'm at a firefighters conference and no one's allowed to speak about water, right?
Burn, Rusty! Burn! Burn! Burn, Rusty!
You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it.
Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all.
day, sir. Okay, have a good ride. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I get nothing from you. Today, what we're into now, do me a courtesy, okay? I'm not trying to convert you.
Look, I'd consider myself a realist, all right? But in philosophical terms, I'm what's called a pessimist.
Spacious sky. There's a fucking million of us out there, and we are listening to Trump.
The waves of grain. For purple mountain majesties. Wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned us good. Yes, he did. Heavy brother. Watch out! I'm trying to out you. He the is. He the. Watch out! Watch out! Shine and see. You know, I wish I had somebody to help me sing this.
I believe in America. America has made my fortune. And I raised my daughter in the American fashion.
Doja Cat went on TikTok Live saying she feels betrayed by Noah Schnapp after he...
Guys, have you seen the video of Katy Perry's...
I was going to put him...
And what strikes me is we shed tears, but there are no tears here. He doesn't cry once.
To launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. I mean, of Ukraine. Correct. Anyway, 75.
I'm not laughing.
Oh, but I'm struggling with rent this month. Figure it the fuck out, okay?
Oh my god, look at all the money I made today. Just kidding. I make $11 an hour.
I make a few $1 million a year and I feel broke. You know what I mean?
And then these people celebrate Christmas. They got big trees, huge trees, all the little trimmings. Everybody got gifts, and it's my stuff. It just don't make sense to me. It don't.
I spent 58 days outside Twitter in order to give Elon Musk a hug. And now,
gimme. Everybody back off.
Guys, it's time for that 15-minute break. Always take your 15-minute break and drink of water. Okay, we ran out of water. Well, enjoy the scenery then.
Western states are experiencing the worst mega drought in at least 1,200 years.
Yeah, they say climate change has made the issue 72% worse.
This world's a treasure, Donald. It's been telling us to leave for a while now.
You and I live in a country which is supposed to be the citadel of education, freedom, justice, democracy, and all of those other pretty sounding words.
I love shopping with Instacart because it's fun. It doesn't even feel like work.
What are we doing? Why are you here?
Well, we used to look up in the sky and wonder at our place in the stars. Now we just look down and worry about our place in the dirt.
Cooper, you were good at something, and you never got a chance to do anything with it. I'm sorry.
driving!
Have you ever zoned out while driving? Or drove a long distance and have no recollection of consciously doing so? This is called highway hypnosis.
Dear young people,
don't vote.
Don't vote.
Everything's fine the way it is.
Trump. That was us.
He's our guy.
Tax cuts for the rich? Hell yeah. I'm rich as fuck.
Climate change? That's a you problem. I'll be dead soon. Sure, school shootings are sad. But I haven't been in a school for 50 years. I can't keep track of which lives matter.
Sure you don't like it. So, you'll like some meme on Instagram.
If the weather is nice, maybe you could go to one of those little marches. You might even share this video on Facebook.
But you won't vote.
You young people never do.
But I do. I do.
I do. Midterms, primaries.
Every single election.
We'll be there, but you won't.
Because we're a generation of doers.
Not whiners.
And we're doing great.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Think we've been coming around since it's been raining all day.
40% of US families are only one paycheck away from losing their home.
150 people living here, each with their own tent site, but the general consensus is that they aren't happy and they want a better life.
I don't want to be here.
If it was me dying on the sidewalk, you'd walk right over me. I pass you every day and you don't notice me.
A couple people glance over, no one recognizes their relatives, and everyone just walks past without stopping or saying a word.
I'm homeless. I'm nobody. I don't exist.
Homeless people were offered cash and cigarettes in exchange for hundreds of forged or fake signatures on state ballot petitions.
You got a negative attitude. That's what's stopping you.
How long you been out here on the streets?
On the streets, about 11 years.
This is my first day. Today's my 18th birthday.
Been here a long time. Last week, I offered a homeless guy in Bristol a coffee, and he genuinely went, "Mate, my life's shit enough. Last thing I need is something that keeps me up all night." And you're like,
dressed up like a homeless to shop at Dior.
Are you hungry? It's gonna be delicious, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Can you let me off 9p?
No.
You are paying back the debts that this generation, Jack's generation, my generation, irresponsibly ran up.
Thank you very much to Nick Bowles, Planning Minister. Really appreciate your help.
What is more difficult to understand is how poverty pervades the everyday fabric of life. For poverty infects the mind. It can drive babies into care, sons into hospital, men to drink.
Fixate this pump. Why is it that we're all told to walk around like this, and these people that I'm
The community kitchen volunteers give out 600 kilos of food per week at 4 distribution sites in North London. They're busier than ever.
This is where they live. There are nearly 2 million houses officially unfit for human habitation. Nearly a quarter of our homes are without either an inside lavatory, fixed bath, or hot water. But that is well known. Pictures like these are familiar. The wallpaper peels from the damp ceiling after 3 months. A sock plugged in.
We met many mothers who have been skipping meals to make sure their children never have to. But for some, like Candace, who is diabetic, there is a health risk, and skipping meals can mean
the line in front of the community kitchen gets longer every day. Poverty is growing in London. It's a situation that keeps Taz Khan busy. He knows that without him and his privately run food bank, many Londoners would go hungry.
The same areas have poor social services. There are fewer parks and playfields. The doctors list
friends who are aristocrats, I have friends who are upper class, I have friends who are, working class, but I'm not working class, but I mix and match, and then I go to see kids from an inner city state school and tell them, to apply to Oxford and talk to them about people like me, and then I shock them at the end of chatting to them for half an hour and tell them I was at Winchester.
Because I've been to a million auditions, and the same thing happens every time, where I get interrupted because someone wants to get a sandwich, or I'm crying and they start laughing, or there's people sitting in the waiting room and they're like me but prettier and better at because maybe I'm not good enough.
Yes, you are.
No, maybe I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Maybe I'm not.
You are.
Maybe I'm not.
You are.
Maybe I'm one of those people that has always wanted to do it, but it's like a pipe dream for me, and then you set it, you change your dreams, and then you grow up. Maybe I'm one of those people, and I'm not supposed to.
What's the deal with this giant barge? It's the UK's new offshore prison. The 3-story ship, called the Bibby Stockholm, will house 500 asylum seekers while their applications are processed. Despite Transport Minister Richard Holden reassuring us that it is
not a type of prison at all,
the ship will use 24/7 security to ensure that those on board do not leave the port.
The British people deserve to know which party is serious about stopping the invasion on our southern coast and which party is not.
Do I think we should stop the boat? Yes, I do.
Are you completely comfortable with breaking the law?
We're not breaking the law.
But when you told you were breaching the law?
And I was putting into place, and I will invite the Permanent Secretary to confirm exactly what happened.
My question's quite specific.
Yeah.
When were you told
that the Home Office was breaching the law around detaining people for more than
We'll get to that
24
point,
days.
but I need to tell you what I did in September and what I knew. That's what I'm
When-
trying to
what-
do.
when- we just need the
I
date.
would love to be here saying, well, claiming victory. I would love to be having a front page of the Telegraph with a plane taking off to Rwanda. That's my dream. That's my dream. It's
When
my
will that
obsession.
happen? The new illegal migration bill means that if you come here illegally, you will not be able to stay. You will be detained, and then you will be swiftly removed to your own country if that's safe, or if it isn't, then a safe third country alternative like Rwanda.
3 migrants spent 11 days sitting on the rudder of an oil tank traveling across the Atlantic Ocean. The men went 11 days without eating and at the mercy of the waves below.
I lose my baby. Why me? Why my baby? Why my baby? I'm not going to lose my baby. I'm not going to lose my
Let me be clear. Nobody chooses to become a refugee.
You say there are 100 million people displaced around the world and likely billions more eager to come here if possible. On what planet is that likely? And how is that not inflammatory language?
Today we are introducing legislation to make clear that if you come here illegally, you can't claim asylum. You can't benefit from our modern slavery protections. You can't make spurious human rights claims. And you can't stay.
Yeah, I was just about to say that the rhetoric is just so awful. It's not just about stopping the boats. I'm so bored of listening to that rhetoric.
I'm not happy in the hotel, and I'm not happy in this whole situation about Home Office.
So if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been here?
2.5 years.
2.5 years? And they've still not processed you through the immigration?
I'm just waiting for
Russia overnight launched its long-anticipated attack on Ukraine, striking military posts across the country. An unprovoked war in Europe is now underway.
Our country has a long and proud history of supporting the most vulnerable during their darkest hours.
Would you give a room up in your house for a Ukrainian refugee?
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you are asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one, will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
We hadn't necessarily taken into consideration the cultural differences.
But those cultural differences weren't often talked about when Andrea signed up to the Homes for Ukraine scheme. She lives in a diverse part of Birmingham. After a week of staying there, her guest told her there were too many Muslims in the area.
She felt there were just too many Muslims. Too many Muslims, too many people with different skin colours.
Right, and jumping.
No, it's not going to stop the boats because these are determined people. First of all, if you're going to be thinking of building detention centers to house people who are already so traumatized by war and putting them in detention centers. We've seen the detention centers that were funded by the EU in Libya. Those turned out to be horrendous and actually turned out to be places where people were actually being sold on the open market into slavery.
But that's not going to be the case in France.
Well,
it's not.
Okay, from history, we know that detention centers, whether in this country, whether in France or anywhere, tend to be quite horrendous. And these are people who are traumatized by war. And the question we should be asking, why are these people escaping?
Coast Guard says at least 30 people have drowned in a suspected migrant shipwreck.
The rescue operation is still ongoing, and we know that the police, Coast Guard and Fire Brigade are among agencies trying to help people who are still in the water. At the moment, at least 30 people are believed to have died, but there are warnings that that number will rise.
You're the definition of evil? Kill yourself?
Over the last 6 years, the United Kingdom has moved much further to the right.
Stopping the invasion on our southern coast.
Stochastic terrorism is defined as the public demonization of a person or group which results in a violent act.
Interrupt this program for an important news announcement.
A petrol bomb was thrown at an immigration centre in Dover.
I am reminded of the language used to dehumanize and justify the murder of my family and against others.
Let's take a look at the food menu for MPs in Parliament. In the Parliament restaurant, they can get pressed duck leg and caper terrine with celeriac and mustard remoulade on sourdough toast for £4.25. We pay for it.
Where's the fucking third one gone?
People crossing the channel in small boats.
So supermarkets are now rationing their fruit and vegetables.
People crossing the channel in small boats.
A million households struggling to pay for the internet.
People crossing the channel in small boats.
Someone is being cut off from their energy supply every 10 seconds.
People crossing the channel in small boats.
We try not to eat a lot in one day.
People crossing the channel in small boats.
This is so irrelevant to me. What's relevant to me and many, many other people that are listening, I'm sure, in today's environment is how we're going to survive.
The people crossing the channel in small boats.
Now I'm going to play you one of my favourite songs. Right, you like this one? Here we go.
Hello, Doctor.
In Germany, they came first for the communists. And I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the Jews. And I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists. And I didn't speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics. And I didn't speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me. And by that time, nobody was left to speak up.
And who told you you're not already in heaven and making a mess out of it?
We also
right
be in
now,
hell too, right?
Something is looming over this city that will soon be laid waste by war. Now it is still alive, biding its time. Nobody has yet begun to suspect the impending doom.
One place in Ukraine which has come to symbolize the barbarity of this war, it is Bucha. This was the first evidence of the crimes perpetrated here. The bodies of civilians left decomposing where they fell. The number of bodies buried here is unknown, but it's thought there are at least 115. As the face of each is uncovered, suddenly the awful moment of recognition.
Idę sюда.
Поговорить его. Просто потом слезы, боль. Не знаю, что еще. Ненависть к этим русским.
Doesn't this new massive increase in the price of oil mean a change in the world balance of power between the developing nations like you, the producers, and us, the developed industrialized nations?
Yes, it will.
The poppy fields of Helmand became the center of a multi-million-dollar business.
This was once a forest before it was covered with oil. Everything that looks like water is in actuality oil. Are they going to rekindle the blaze? Has life without fire become unbearable for them?
He is a war criminal.
War is young men dying and old men talking. You know this.
The ordered world, where kings and queens ruled and dogs behaved obediently, was about to collapse.
The war lasted only a few hours. Afterwards, everything was different.
What you're about to see is a video recorded by the Ukrainian authorities after they first entered the basement of the building used by the Russians. Their hands bound, they appear to have been shot as they knelt on the floor. The identities of the men found here have now been established. They were Sergei Mateshko, Vladimir Bochenko, Viktor Prudko, Valery Plukko, and Dmitro Schulmeister.
Он жил обычной жизнью, находился у себя дома, на своей земле. Пришли звери, варвары. Огонь! Огонь! Да стреляйте же, мать вашу! Сергею! Руки слева! Нет, рассыпаться! Насильем им задницу! Зажарим людей вместе с патроном!
These are Russian soldiers on their way to loot and to kill. The men talk, even smoke, and then the soldiers leave. But suddenly two turn back. They shoot Leonid and a second man multiple times in their backs.
Shall men seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them.
Can you see what is happening?
Oh yes, they are sitting down to dinner.
Sitting down to dinner?
My combat action. Has commenced.
Taking a close look at what's around us, there is some sort of a harmony. It is the harmony of overwhelming and collective murder. The soldiers came at night while the children were sleeping. They dragged this one here out of bed, and one of the soldiers trampled on the child's head with his heavy boot.
Are you an assassin? I'm a soldier. You're neither. You're an errand boy.
Just for documentation, today was the day we went against order, and we shot anyway, and we killed like a whole bunch of people.
24 unapproved rounds.
24 unapproved, high explosive mortar rounds. That's about 40,000 pounds of death right there.
Yep. I love the fucking Marine Corps. What we did today?
Hey, we need born killers like you.
We're all born killers.
And then you see where the actual strikes were happening.
When my child wept, his tears were black. When his nose ran, it ran black. Even the spittle in his mouth was black. The boy used to be able to talk, but now he says nothing more. Only once he said, "Mama, I don't ever want to learn how to talk."
At night I see their faces. All the men I've killed.
The Afghan is compliant and quiet on the ground. Three shots from close range. The Afghan is dead.
Couldn't be happier, and I'm particularly happy today.
Battles against dark demonic forces that threatened innocent people. And the role of we, the good people of the West, was to intervene to save those innocents.
Democracy in action.
We made things worse.
Yes. Week in, week out, overseas service chiefs come here discreetly to shop for anything from guided missile destroyers and aircraft to a pair of army boots.
Prime Minister, I have to say the super saleswomen do their job.
Women were not to be educated, and all film and music was banned. Ordinary Afghans were shackled to the ceiling and subjected to all kinds of violent abuse. The reports said that 2 of the victims had been tortured to death.
She had been dragged away by soldiers, along with her 2 grown sons, and had to watch her sons being tortured to death before her very eyes. This caused her to lose her speech, but she still tried to tell us what had happened.
Битые, футболки натянутые, руки грязные, в торец.
They don't know how many people were killed here in total, but it appears this was some sort of torture center.
We were working for the U.S. counter-terrorist group and working with the Pentagon and some other federal agencies.
The Western forces were good, and all the different groups who were attacking them were Taliban and were bad. The British were being used. All you had to do was go to the British and tell them that he was a Taliban, and the British would immediately wipe him out.
I think it's incredibly important to document the truth of what is happening, if only for the purposes of keeping an accurate history of this horrific moment in time, but also for the benefit of the victims and the survivors.
Now, the phenomenon is perhaps best summed up in this headline: the strange case of Britain's demise.
In the recent mini-budget, Kwasi Kwarteng really spooked the markets. Sterling absolutely plummeted.
Alston have brought out a bright yellow budgie range.
Figures from the British Retail Consortium show food prices hitting a high not seen since records began in 2005. With the typical food grocery shop in December costing 13.3% more than it did a year ago, up almost 1% on November's figure. That rise was driven by fresh food.
For the government to be talking about productivity in exchange for a pay award is an insult to every single one of our members. You all know what's going on in hospitals at the moment. You all know how hard everybody is working. So today is an insult to our members.
But Mr. Speaker, let me answer the lady directly. I am registered with an NHS GP. I have used independent healthcare in the past.
Do you know why they're trying to make it harder for people to go on strike? Because it's very simple. This government is scared of what happens when workers organise collectively together. They're scared that after 12 years of stagnant and falling living standards, of not getting pay rises in the good times, now there's a cost of living crisis, you can't get a pay rise now either, that people are realising that the only power they have is collective bargaining, and when being pushed to it, withdrawing their labour.
Ahead of more NHS strikes in England in the coming days, one nursing union now says disruption could double in size next month if pay talks don't progress.
Please tell us if you're going to withdraw your labour. Let's agree a minimum safety level. I don't think there's anything unreasonable about that whatsoever.
I think if you look at public sentiment, people are very clear. If it comes down to a straight fight between Rishi Sunak, Jeremy Hunt, Steve Barclay and our nurses, our paramedics, our physiotherapists, I know where public sympathy lies, and it lies with those hard-working public servants. So I think the government should think again and step back from these proposals.
Two years since Britain completed its withdrawal from the European Union, and it's still struggling with the fallout.
heating, no food. It's such a nightmare, really.
When did you have your last hot breakfast?
Last week, because I came last week.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 million people are on NHS waiting lists today, and it's only going to get worse. What is he going to do about this?
Those are the people's priorities. They are your government's priorities, and we will either have achieved them or not.
So what's going on in the UK right now? And is it really the worst time ever to be a renter?
Now, from the cost of owning a house to how expensive it is to heat one, no one wants to be reminded how much that has gone up. New figures show 8.4 million households will be in fuel poverty by April. That's 1 in 3 households.
But how many people give their power to the royal family? How many people give their power to governments? How many people give their power to bankers? All the time.
So your reality is anarchy?
No, it's not anarchy. It's the opposite. Do you think bombing innocent civilians from the sky to protect them from violence is not anarchy? Do you think lending money that doesn't exist, called credit, and if we don't pay them back plus interest, they can take our real wealth, our homes and our land and our businesses and stuff? Do you think that's not anarchy? People dying of hunger in a world of plenty is not anarchy. We have anarchy now. So when we expand our consciousness, we have anything but anarchy. We have intelligence, which is what we lack now.
I have to.
That you were totally useless as a health secretary. There's 3.5 million people suffering from the effects of rare disease in this country that are in hell at the moment.
Why did you decide to come in?
Why?
Yeah.
Because all politicians are known, and me in particular, for like being in a very sort of strict way of being, which is just not actually how we are.
Okay. How would you say you were?
More human than that.